All right, the Daily Wire's Michael Knowles, along with Senator Mike Lee of Utah, we're both at today's hearing and both join us now. Good to have you guys on. Senator, I want to start with you. The Democrats in this hearing very desperate to deflect the reality now we face in this country, which is understandable. Obviously, it's a big political liability for them, but all they did was bring up January 6th about 20 times. The truth is, though, that the Democrats' base increasingly sees violence as a proper method to achieving its goals. And that far left flank of the party is now radicalized and very dangerous. And that's obvious to people, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And the problem here is that at other inflection points in American history where something horrible has happened, some kind of violent attack, we have, for the most part, come together as a people and overwhelmingly, unanimously condemned the violence. When that doesn't happen on the left, when that didn't happen in the immediate wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination and still hasn't happened, and when since then we've got things like the PBS Marist NPR poll from earlier this month showing that fully 55% of those who identify as part of the left think it's morally justifiable to murder President Trump, you've got a problem. The left has a problem, and it needs to identify it in order to address what's really happening here.
Yeah, it certainly does. Michael, information from the Center for Strategic and International Studies was cited today that left-wing violence has risen in the last 10 years. Number of terrorist incidents involving left-wing extremists so far this year puts 2025 on pace to be the most deadly for the left in more than 3 decades. What do you think is happening in this country that's leading to that, other than rhetoric?
Well, I think that the left-wing violence has become so clear that it's undeniable at this point. But we should be clear about this. Left-wing violence has always been underreported. Even the attack that occurred at an event that I was speaking at, that I testified on today, that was Antifa throwing an explosive at a building, seriously injuring a cop. That does not appear on registers of political violence. The BLM riots, which led to 36 deaths and $1 billion worth of property damage, that doesn't appear on registers of left-wing political violence. The fact that the CSIS study, even now being reported in the Atlantic, has to acknowledge this just shows you how profound the left-wing violence problem has become. The Democrats wanted to run away with it. They wanted to say that it was a both sides issue, or really it was all the Republicans' fault. And they're trying to evade responsibility, but you can't fix a problem unless you identify where the problem really lies.
Yeah, and for some reason that they're so effective at concealing this, and they have a way with statistics of, you know, for the longest time they said that the biggest threat that we faced was conservative white men, and we would all just laugh because it was so like with our eyes we knew that was so false, but they were able to say it because they were backed up by whatever this nonsense is that they could cite in those moments. Senator Cory Booker today was talking about the rhetoric and saying that we have a problem rhetorically on both sides that's creating violence in this country. He then blasted how the president speaks. Take a listen to this.
We are in a crisis right now, and there is growing political violence and a growing justification for it. But I find it stunning that the way we talk about it seems more about grievance politics and trying to score points than actually getting to the root of what is an American problem. I will do my best to call it like it is. To hear quotes that I've even said that need to be tamped down. And God, I wish I'd see more of my colleagues being willing to call out the President of the United States for his outrageous comments as well.
I agree that the rhetoric is bad in this country, and there's obviously a huge division, a huge divide between the two parties and their voters. But I think, Senator, that the larger point is that you don't see people acting on the right off of that as much as you do on the left. I mean, like just the stats we just talked about, how so many people that vote for the Democrat Party see violence as a method toward what they want to achieve. So many people think that it would be better if Donald Trump were assassinated, that's something that should happen, that they believe that. It seems like on their side, they've got a real issue there that is very dangerous.
Yeah, look, the fact that you can find people at every point along the political spectrum who sometimes say or do things that they shouldn't do, that is beside the point. That's a fine statement to make as far as it goes, but it completely overlooks what we're dealing with here, which is that when we've got something on the right that is not acceptable, it's immediately called out as such. by most Republicans in office, and certainly by the consistently left-leaning media. They will call it out early, often, whether it needs to be called out or not, they'll do it. But where you've got crickets from the media and crickets from many elected Democrats in office, when somebody on the left does it, when you've got a cold-blooded assassination attempt on President Trump, or you've got the tragically successful assassination of Charlie Kirk, and it was celebrated for days, even weeks, by prominent figures on the left without a lot of condemnation from the media or from elected officials, that's troubling.
It certainly is. Michael, I'll give you the final word on this. What was achieved today from this hearing?
I think what was achieved was showing the public the real stakes of what's going on. It was so ironic that Cory Booker made those remarks when he's currently endorsing Jay Jones to be the top law enforcement official in Virginia, a man who's called for the murder of Republicans and our children, says that we're breeding little fascists, would urinate on the graves of Republicans. It's just total hypocrisy. These are crocodile tears, and we need to call it out for what it is so that we can go on to fix the problem and rebuild our political order and a free marketplace of ideas.
Yes, that's very well said. Gentlemen, good to have you both on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.